Most people get their first taste of real money and immediately upgrade the wrong things. Not because the things are bad. The car, the watch, the apartment, they are all fine. It is because almost nobody can tell the difference between an upgrade that pays them back and one they are just spending on. So they buy the second kind and skip the first. And years later, the number in the account is bigger, but the life does not feel any different. Today, I am going to give you both 13 upgrades split by which ones return money and which ones return something you cannot put a price on. And I know how that sounds. Let me earn it. Here's the frame, and it is the whole video, so hold on to it. Every upgrade you can make with money pays you back in one of two currencies. The first currency is money itself. You spend, and more money comes back to you, and we can measure exactly how much. The second currency is life. You spend, and what comes back is better sleep, a clearer head, time with the people you love, a body that still works at 70. That return is real. It just does not show up on a statement. The mistake almost everyone makes is confusing the two. They pour money into the second currency and feel productive while leaving the first currency, the free, provable, guaranteed kind, sitting untouched on the table. So we are going to go through all 13, and for each one I will tell you plainly which currency it pays in. Some will surprise you. Let us start with the one that costs you the most while you are not looking. Upgrade number one is the money you already have. Right now, if you are earning well, there is a very good chance you have a pile of cash sitting in a checking account. It feels responsible, it feels safe, it is quietly one of the most expensive things you own. Here is why. A checking account pays you almost nothing. Call it half of 1%. Meanwhile, prices rise. Over the long run, I will model inflation at 3% a year, and I will flag right now that as of this recording, it is actually running hotter than that, closer to 4%, driven by an energy shock. But 3% is the honest long-run number to plan around, so take $10,000 sitting and checking. In a single year, inflation quietly strips about $300 of real buying power out of it. You did not spend that $300. It just evaporated. But the evaporation is not the expensive part. The expensive part is what that money could have been doing. If instead of sitting and checking, that same $10,000 were invested and earned a modeled 7% a year, and I want to be clear, 7% is a long-run assumption, not a promise, the gap does not stay small. Over 5 years, the difference is about $3,800. Over 10 years, roughly $9,000. Over 30 years, that one lonely $10,000 deposit becomes a gap of about $64,500. Same $10,000. One version sat still. The other version grew into something that could pay for a year of retirement. This is currency number one. Pure, measurable, financial return, and it is the single most common upgrade people skip. The fix costs you nothing but 10 minutes. Move the cash you do not need for emergencies out of checking and into something that actually works. Which raises the obvious question. How much should you keep back for emergencies and where? Hold that thought because it connects to an upgrade further down this list. Upgrade number two is your sleep setup. And here we switch currencies completely. This one does not pay you back in dollars, and I am not going to pretend it does. You will not find a spreadsheet where a better mattress returns 7%. What it returns is life. You spend roughly a third of your existence in a bed. It is, by hours, the most used object you own, and most people spend more on their phone than on the thing they lie on for 8 hours a night. The research on sleep loss is genuinely strong, though I would gently steer you away from some of the dramatic headlines you may have heard comparing tiredness to being drunk. The honest version is simpler and still convincing. Losing sleep measurably degrades your next day focus, your mood, and your judgment, and it does it night after night without you noticing the accumulation. The upgrades worth making are unglamorous: a mattress that actually supports you, a pillow that holds your neck, blackout curtains if light leaks in, earplugs if you live somewhere loud. None of it is exciting. All of it compounds into how every other hour of your day feels. This is a life currency upgrade, near the top of the list precisely because it makes every other upgrade work better. Upgrade number 3. And we are back to hard money. This is the one I would tattoo on people if I could. It is your 401k match. Most employers offer to match some of what you put into your retirement account. And I need you to understand what a match actually is because the word makes it sound boring. A match is your employer offering to hand you free money, on the condition that you save some of your own. Take a common formula. The employer matches 100% of what you contribute, up to 4% of your salary. On a $100,000 salary, that means you put in $4,000 and your employer drops in $4,000 on top. That is a 100% return, instantly, before the money is even invested. There is no legal investment on earth that reliably doubles your money the moment you make it, except this one. Even a less generous formula, say 50% up to 6%, is a 50% instant return. Now, here is the part that should bother you. Plenty of people earning good money contribute too little to capture the full match. Say the match goes up to 4% and you are only putting in 2%. You are turning down $2,000 of free money every single year. And because that money would have been invested and grown, the true cost is not $2,000. If you forfeit a $2,000 match every year for 30 years and model it growing at 7%, you have walked away from about $189,000. That is not a slip of the tongue. Skipping a modest match can quietly cost you the price of a house over a career. Log into your payroll system this week, find the words employer match, and make sure you are contributing at least enough to get all of it. This is the highest, purest financial currency upgrade on the entire list, and it is free. Upgrade number 4 brings us back to the life currency, and it is your home environment. Here is a strange thing people do. They tolerate things in their own home they would never accept anywhere else. The drawer that sticks, the light that flickers, the chair that is a little too uncomfortable to actually relax in, the bulb that has been out for a year. Individually, each is trivial. Collectively, they are a low background hum of friction in the one place you are supposed to feel most at ease. And you spend more waking time here than anywhere. The upgrades do not have to be large. Warmer lighting instead of harsh overhead glare, fixing the 5 small broken things you have been stepping around for months. If you work from home, a real workspace instead of a laptop on the kitchen table. There is research suggesting things like greenery and natural light nudge stress downward, and I will keep it honest and call that directional rather than dramatic. But you do not need a study to know the difference between a home that fights you and a home that holds you. This is life currency, no dollar return, and worth it anyway. Upgrade number 5 swings back to money, and it is your skills. Once you have some income to spare, one of the highest returning places to put it is back into your own earning power. And I do not mean another degree. I mean the targeted, unglamorous stuff, a certification, a technical course, a specific skill that has a direct line to a higher salary. Here is the rule of thumb I would use. If the thing you are learning will pay for itself within a year or two, it is almost always worth it. Let me put numbers on that. Say a course costs $2,000 and it helps you land a raise of $10,000 a year. The payback period on that is not years. It is about 2.5 months. Everything after that is profit, and because a raise tends to stick with you, a single $10,000 bump held over a 25-year career is $250,000 of earning you unlocked with a $2,000 course. There is a second, quieter category here too. The skills that do not change your job title, but change how you are seen in it. Speaking clearly in a room. Negotiating. Managing people. Those often decide who gets promoted more than raw technical ability does. So ask yourself one question. What is the single skill gap costing me the most right now? And then go spend money to close it. Financial currency and one of the best rates of return you will find. Upgrade number 6 is convenience, and this one pays in a currency we rarely name: mental bandwidth. There is a kind of tiredness that never shows up on a to-do list because it is the to-do list, the invisible ledger of things that need doing, The errands, the admin, the logistics of simply running a life that sits permanently in the back of your mind. And if you have a family, that ledger does not add, it multiplies. Once you have money to spare, spending it to shrink that ledger is one of the most direct upgrades to your daily life you can buy. A cleaner, a meal service on the nights that are always chaos, someone to handle the garden, or the laundry, or the one recurring task you dread. You are not being lazy. You are buying back attention and handing some of it to the people you would rather be present for. This is life currency, and its return is almost impossible to measure and completely obvious to feel. Upgrade number 7 sits right in the middle of this list, and that is deliberate because it might be the one that compounds into everything else. It is your physical and mental fitness. This one is unusual. It pays in both currencies at once. On the life side, a body that moves well, sleeps better, and carries less stress makes every other hour of your day better. And it is the difference between an active 70-year-old and a fragile one. On the money side, it is quieter, but real. The healthier version of you spends less over a lifetime fighting problems that were preventable. Now, be honest with yourself about how you actually work. If you know you will not go to the gym on your own, the upgrade is not willpower. It is removing the excuse. For some people, that is a trainer who makes not showing up cost something. For others, it is equipment at home or a class with people expecting them. The specific tool matters less than this. Pick the one that makes the habit automatic, because once the habit exists, everything downstream of it improves. And the same logic applies to the mental side. Therapy, coaching, even a steady journaling habit. These are the most deferred upgrades on the whole list because they feel less tangible than a gym membership. The return is enormous, and it is the one people put off forever. Do not. Upgrade number 8 is the one almost nobody in these videos talks about. And for a room full of people building real wealth, it might be the most important on the list. It is protection, specifically term life insurance and an umbrella liability policy. Stay with me, because the math here is almost absurd. Term life insurance is a simple deal. For a fixed number of years, if you die, it pays your family a large sum. That is it. No investment, no cash value, no complexity. For a healthy 35-year-old man, $500,000 of coverage over a 20-year term costs somewhere around $30 a month. Let me translate that into the ratio that matters. That is about 72 cents per year for every $1,000 of protection. You are insuring your family's entire financial future for the price of a couple of coffees a month, and a warning that saves people a fortune. This is where the industry tries to sell you whole life insurance instead, which bundles in an investment component and costs for the same coverage, something like 17 times as much. For most people protecting a family, plain term is the answer. Then there is umbrella liability, the upgrade for people who now have something to lose. It sits on top of your home and auto insurance and catches the catastrophe, the lawsuit, the accident, the judgment that blows past your normal limits. A $1 million umbrella policy runs around $350 a year. That is under $1 a day to stand between one bad afternoon and everything you have built. This is financial currency of a particular kind. It does not grow your money, it prevents a single event from erasing it. And it is stunningly cheap for what it does. Upgrade number 9 is a quieter one, and it is the quality of what you eat. When money is tight, the cheapest option wins by necessity, and there is no shame in that. But once you have room, food is one of the easier upgrades to justify. Not as a diet, not as a project with rules and targets, just as better ingredients and better fuel for the person doing all this earning. I am going to stay deliberately out of the business of numbers here, because good eating is not a spreadsheet, and it certainly is not about restriction. It is about the plain fact that what you put in your body shows up in your energy, your mood, and how you feel at the end of a long day. Spend a little more on the raw materials of your daily life. This is life currency, and it is one of the most everyday returns on the list. Upgrade number 10 is hiring a tax professional, and I am going to give you the honest, conditional version that most videos skip. Because the truth is, for a lot of people, a tax pro is not worth it. If your taxes are simple, one salaried job, standard deduction, nothing exotic, good software handles it, and a professional finds almost nothing to justify the fee. So this upgrade comes with a trigger. The moment your financial life gains layers, the math flips hard in favor of hiring out. What are the layers? Equity compensation, or stock units from your job. A side business, rental income. Money across multiple states. Anything involving the words backdoor or conversion. At that point, a good professional is not a cost. They routinely find and save multiples of their own fee legally in ways the software never surfaces, and they plan across years instead of just filing one. So do not reflexively hire a tax pro because a video told you to. Hire one the moment your return stops being simple. When that trigger hits, this becomes clean financial currency. Before it hits, save your money. Upgrade number 11 is your passions and your interests, and it sounds soft until you notice what its absence does to people. There is a version of success that looks flawless on paper and feels completely hollow to live. A good income, all the boxes ticked, and no idea what you actually enjoy anymore, because every hour went to work. Hobbies are the first thing people drop when they get busy and the last thing they think to spend money on, and that is exactly backwards. There is reasonable evidence that people who regularly do things purely for enjoyment carry less stress and fewer mood problems. I will call that directional rather than precise. But the deeper point does not need a study. Having one part of your life that exists entirely outside your work and your productivity, something you do only because you like it, is a large part of what makes a life feel like yours. So once you can, invest in it properly, not just the hobby, but the equipment, the lessons, the people around it. Take it as seriously as you take your job. This is life currency, and it is a big one. Upgrade number 12 is your health access, and buried inside it is one of the best money moves in the entire tax code. Start with the simple part. Once you are earning well, it is worth spending to make healthcare faster and easier to reach. The right plan through work or private coverage that turns weeks of waiting into days. Delays in care cost you in the currency that matters most. But here is the hidden financial upgrade most people walk straight past. The health savings account. If you are on a qualifying high-deductible health plan, this account is the only one in existence with a triple tax advantage. The money goes in before tax, it grows without being taxed, and when you spend it on medical costs, it comes out untaxed too. Nothing else does all three. In 2026, you can put in up to $4,400 on your own or $8,750 for a family, with an extra $1,000 once you are 55. For a family maxing it out, the upfront tax saving alone is roughly $2,500 a year. And if instead of spending it each year, you invest it and let it grow at a modeled 7%. Modeled, not guaranteed. A family maxing it for 30 years builds over $800,000 that can come out entirely tax-free for medical costs in retirement. Most people use this account as a simple medical wallet. Used correctly, it is the most powerful retirement account almost nobody talks about. Financial currency, hiding inside a health upgrade. Upgrade number 13, the last on the main list, is your wardrobe. And I know how that sounds coming right after retirement accounts. There is a guilt many people carry about spending on clothes, a sense that it is vain or frivolous. But there is research suggesting, and I will frame it exactly that carefully, that what you wear can shift how you carry yourself and even how you think. The concept even has a name, enclothed cognition. I will not oversell it. What I will say plainly is this. When you wear things that fit and that make you feel assured, you show up a little differently, and you can feel it. This is not about designer labels or impressing anyone. It is about owning a few things you genuinely feel good walking out the door in. Once you can afford that, you do not need anyone's permission. Life currency, and a small one. But the small ones add up. And because you stuck with me to the end, here is the bonus. The 14th upgrade, and the one I would argue matters most. It is experiences with the people you love. Here is the hidden mechanism that makes this more than a greeting card sentiment. When you buy an object, something quiet and relentless happens to it. You get used to it. The new car is thrilling for a month, and then it is just the car. Psychologists call this hedonic adaptation, the way we adjust to what we own until it stops giving us the lift it once did. But an experience does not work that way. The trip, the meal, the day out with the people who matter, it does not sit in your driveway depreciating. It becomes a memory, and memories do not adapt away. They often grow warmer with time. So the same dollar spent on an experience shared with someone you love quietly buys more lasting happiness than the same dollar spent on a thing. That is not sentiment. That is the mechanism. This is the deepest life currency upgrade there is, and it is the point of the other 13. So let us put it all together because now you can see the whole picture. 13 upgrades plus 1 sorted into 2 currencies. On the money side, your idle cash, your employer match, your skills, your protection, your tax help when your life gets complex, and the quiet giant hiding in your health account. On the life side, your sleep, your home, your bought-back time, your fitness, your food, your passions, what you wear, and the experiences you share with the people who matter. Here is the mistake I promised to expose at the start. It is not upgrading the things that do not pay for themselves. Buying the better mattress, the trip, the hobby, those are not mistakes. They are the whole point of earning money in the first place. The real mistake is subtler and more expensive. It is leaving the free, guaranteed, financial currency money sitting on the table. The match you did not claim, the cash you left rotting in checking, the tax account you never opened. While telling yourself the life currency purchase was an investment, so you do not have to feel the guilt of simply enjoying it. You do not need to launder your joy through the language of returns. Claim the free money first, then spend on your life, on purpose, and call it exactly what it is. Both currencies are real. Spend in both deliberately, and you get the rare thing almost nobody arrives at. A bigger number in the account and a life that actually feels different, because these upgrades were never luxuries to get to once everything else was sorted. They are the point. If you want to go deeper on the money side of this, the accounts, the order to fund them in, the math behind every number I just gave you, that is exactly what we build together inside the community. It is where the tools live and where these ideas turn into a plan you can actually run on your own life. So tell me in the comments, of all 14, which one are you upgrading first? I am curious whether you will reach for the free money or reach for the life. And if this was useful, the best thing you can do is make sure the next person list starts with the upgrade that pays them back.